Who's the richest person who's ever lived? Elon Musk? Jeff Bezos? Rockefeller? What if I told you? The richest man in all of history lived more than 700 years ago in Africa, and his wealth was so vast it crashed economies wherever he went. Before we uncover that mystery, make sure to subscribe to the channel, where we reveal the untold truths of money, power, and the people who shaped our financial world. The story of wealth isn't just about money. It's about control, resources, and timing. From ancient emperors to modern billionaires, the richest people in history share one thing in common. They didn't just make money, they changed how the world works. Let's begin the journey through time. 1. The Emperor of Gold, Mansa Musa. It's the year 1324. Mansa Musa, ruler of the Mali Empire, decides to go on a pilgrimage to Mecca. He takes with him 60,000 men, 12,000 slaves, and hundreds of camels, each carrying hundreds of pounds of gold. On his journey, he gives away so much gold that the price of it collapses in Cairo, Mecca, and Medina, triggering a decade-long economic depression. If we adjust his wealth for today's value, historians estimate he was worth over $400 billion. That's more than Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos combined, twice over. But Musa wasn't driven by luxury. He built mosques, funded schools, and turned Timbuktu into one of the greatest learning centers in the world. His wealth wasn't stored in banks. It was stored in the prosperity of his people. 2. The oil king John D. Rockefeller. Now we move to 19th century America. John D. Rockefeller, the man who turned oil into the modern world's lifeblood. In 1870, he founded Standard Oil and soon controlled 90% of the U.S. oil industry. He didn't just sell oil, he built pipelines, refineries, and distribution networks. At his peak, his wealth was equivalent to $400 billion today, making him the richest modern businessman in history. Rockefeller's strategy was simple but ruthless: cut costs, crush competition, and control the supply chain. He wasn't just rich, he built a monopoly so powerful that the U.S. government had to break it apart. But even after that, his influence never truly ended. His foundations and investments shaped modern capitalism. 3. The steel titan Andrew Carnegie. While Rockefeller ruled oil, Andrew Carnegie ruled steel. A Scottish immigrant who came to America with nothing, he rose to dominate an industry that literally built the nation. By selling his company to J.P. Morgan in 1901 for $480 million, over $350 billion today, Carnegie became one of the richest men who ever lived. But unlike most tycoons, he gave most of it away. He built over 2,500 public libraries, universities, and charitable trusts. Carnegie once said, "The man who dies rich, dies disgraced." For him, wealth was only a tool, not a trophy. 4. The Emperor of the World, Augustus Caesar. Let's go further back, 2,000 years ago. Rome wasn't just a city, it was an empire. And Augustus Caesar, the first Roman emperor, controlled it all. He personally owned vast territories of Egypt and the Mediterranean trade routes. At his height, his net worth would equal around $4.6 trillion today. Yes, trillion. That's not just wealth, that's empire-level control. Every coin minted in Rome bore his image, literally making his face the symbol of money itself. He didn't just create a fortune, he defined an economy. 5. The king of cocaine, Pablo Escobar. Fast forward to the 1980s. Colombia. A man rises from the slums of Medellin and becomes one of the most powerful figures on earth. Pablo Escobar. At his peak, Escobar was making $420 million per week, nearly $22 billion a year. He owned private jets, submarines, entire neighborhoods, and even his own zoo. Forbes once listed him among the world's richest men. But Escobar's story wasn't about wealth. It was about power. His empire wasn't sustainable because it was built on fear, not value. He could buy judges, politicians, even nations, but not time. In 1993, his empire fell, and his wealth turned to dust. It's the perfect reminder that power without peace leads to collapse. 6. The age of technology, Elon Musk and beyond. And finally, we arrive in the digital age, where wealth isn't measured in gold or oil, but in innovation, attention, and data. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bernard Arnault, they don't control resources. They control the systems people rely on. Transportation, retail, communication, AI. Musk's net worth once reached $340 billion, fluctuating with every market swing. But unlike the emperors of the past, today's billionaires are bound by markets and investors, not kingdoms and armies. Still, the principle remains. The richest in history didn't just chase money. They understood timing, control, and vision. So, who was truly the richest person in history? Was it Mansa Musa with his golden empire? Rockefeller with his oil monopoly? Or Augustus, who literally owned half the known world? The truth is, the richest person in history isn't defined by dollars or gold. It's defined by influence, by how deeply one person could shape the destiny of millions. Because in the end, wealth fades, empires fall. But influence is eternal. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world's greatest fortunes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because understanding the history of money is the first step to mastering your own.